Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Peteman Reviews. Today we have the iGear robot PP05W Weapon Specialist. As you can see, this is a third-party version of Transformers Ironhide, based very heavily on Medical Specialist, who we reviewed previously. Ironhide is pretty much the same, different colour, slight remodelling of the face. But the weapons are quite different as well. That's very much in keeping with the original Transformer toys as well, where Ironhide and Ratchet were the same but with different colours. Obviously there wasn't any remodelling of the head, as there was no head to remodel. Now, as with Medical Specialist before, with Weapon Specialist, on the background of the box they give you a little bit of history of the character, and they talk about exactly the same as they did with Medical Specialist, and said that, you know, Ironhide, the Weapon Specialist, was in the Elite Guard and there was an accident and he ended up in a horrible stunted body with no head and his arms in his waist. Again, it's very much talking about the toy and what happened with the toy, and about how then they were able to re-release it and produce him in his proper form. It's a nice little tie-in without directly referencing Transformers, which obviously they can't do, but it's a nice little bit of tie-in which I hadn't really encountered very often until iGear did these releases. The only other one I've seen that is Mania King from Unique Toys, which is a similar thing, where in the back of the packaging it talks about the Great War, or a war I should say, rather than the Great War. But I digress. So moving back to the toy itself, well, it transforms exactly the same as Medical Specialist, as it is pretty much identical. It's still got excellent detail, nice little wing mirrors on there, nice chrome bumper and all of that. The wheels are good too, rear of it's good, so it's excellent detail toy. It drives very, very well. Yeah, it works well. Transformed him, so we'll just begin with, we'll remove the little extra gun that you get stashed in here, if I can pop it out. Gosh, that's in tight. There we are. Move the little extra weapon that you get stashed in there, because it helps with the transformation later on. So to begin with, flip these back. You then want to just flip these up here and just disconnect them slightly. This means the whole of the rear of the back of the toy now will move out. So it breaks apart like so. These will all be the legs, the whole lot of it. So we'll start by just disconnecting these again. And then they all flips out, so it rolls down like that. You can see you've got feet and the stabiliser. So look at that feet. If you haven't already done so by this point, you just need to flip these up too, because the feet come out that way, that goes out that way. We then flip this around the back, just slides into position there. And we'll just do the same on the other side now as well. So just flip this down as far as it will go. You might start to get these in the way, don't worry, we'll deal with those in a second. That out, and that round there. Okay, so these flaps, they're a bit tricky to get away. You kind of want to end up so they're at the back here, so it's kind of a bit of folding and working out. Sometimes it seems a little bit hit and miss as to whether or not how easily they rotate or not. Sometimes they rotate quite easily, and in fact those did rotate quite easily. Sometimes they don't. I think it all depends on how you start with it. But anyway, that's been done. Okay, so the waist does rotate, so we just need to rotate it around, because it will slot back into up there. Come to that in a bit though. So move the wheels in, get those done out of the way so they're like that. Obviously you can see where the arms are, you need to get them out the sides, and you need to get this panel off here. So we'll begin, before we put the wing mirrors, we'll begin just by flipping this up. So flip the hood up, see these will then come out. Now the reason this needs to come out now is because when these go out, this rotates all the way round and it forms the back of the arm, and then this rotates round. You need to pull it down a bit, put the hand like that, and then this mirror can flap in. So we'll do the same this side. So flip this up, rotate this out, rotate that around so it's at the back, rotate the arm down, and then just pull it out so it's full strength, wing mirror flap in. So we're almost there now. Get this hood back right at the back here. and then flip up like that. The head will then pop out. You've then got that part there which slots back into place here. There we go. Okay, now this will now go up there and slot into position, and there we have him, Ironhide, an excellent Transformer, or should I say robot. Technically he's a third-party toy. Say these little flaps at the back here, sometimes it almost seems a little bit random as to how they will go in, but never mind. The key thing is they're in. So we'll just stand him up. Okay, there we go. That is Ironhide. Now, as you see, he's exactly the same as Ratchet. There was medical specialist before him. He's just different colours. He does come with a different array of weaponry. We'll come to that in a second. Just to begin with actually on the robot itself, you've got excellent manoeuvrability with the legs. You've got knees. These sometimes get a bit in the way, so you just need to be aware of that and perhaps move them around. Feet do move as well, giving him excellent posability. Arms have got full movement in the arms. While the hands don't move themselves, they do rotate. And the head moves around. It does have a little up and down movement, but it's mainly moving around. Ironhide does have within his arms, just flip up, you've got little buttons here and things, which are not quite sure how the robot is meant to necessarily use them. It doesn't quite reach over, but the idea is there. It's just another little function, another little gimmick. Same thing on this side as well, but that's got a hole to insert some more weapons into him. So these are just little extra flaps. I suppose the main difference between him and medical specialist are obviously the designs there, whereas medical specialist had a cross for medical. Obviously Ironhide does not, as he is not a medic. So, now the weapons, as I said before, are vast on this. He's got his regular gun that he always comes attached to him, which just rotates out like that. Two of the ones I always like to give him are a knife or a dagger. Quite a nice, chuck it on the floor just for good measure. It's got a nice serrated edge is what I was going to say. There we go, see a nice serrated edge, and the whole colour scheme of it gives it a real good impression that that is actually a proper sword. So that's good there. And also got a massive sniper rifle as well, which obviously it's far too big for him to hold as a weapon like that, but you can imagine the rest. It does have an extra stand there to stand or hold it onto things, but that's just brilliant, isn't it? You know, if you had a piece of scenery set up, like such as, let's say, a box holding some of the other weapons on there, you can get it really resting on it to fire it, which is excellent. So while we've shown the box here, I'll come to this box in a second. I'm just going to take this off because it is so big that it does have a tendency to overbalance him. Just show you some of the other weapons. So we'll start with the other box. Some of the other gear that he comes with are little cutting tools, another huge gun here, little radar dish, another kind of weapon here, which the radar dish can sit into it. It's quite a good selection just there by itself. But these are where, this box here is where you really get the Ironhide stuff in. So you've got a couple of replacement heads. They are all, well, these two have slightly different expressions. That's a bit more grim, a bit more smirk, whereas on there it's just a bit more plain. These are intended so that he can put them over, you put over his hands, to give the impression he's got water cannons and things for all liquid sprays and that. So we'll just demonstrate one of these now. So he's kind of got a little hook inside that you kind of, it's almost like he's holding it. I'm probably not going to be able to do it now, am I? Or I'm putting it on upside down. Yeah. Well, I think we could all see that coming. I wasn't going to be able to do it. I haven't actually put these on before, I would hasten to add. But anyway, that's the idea. Is once you figure out what you're doing, or actually it pops apart, I think, well, that makes it far more sense, doesn't it? It actually pops apart, you pop it in there, and then pop it off so that it falls on the floor nicely. Once you then pick it up again, there we are. So it's now got what looks like his various liquid cannons. Just zoom in a bit there. So we could fire, for example, you know, all the water jets, the nitro gun, the glass gun, all those things that you see Ironhide do, he can now do as well with that. So that's quite a nice little touch, and he comes with 2 of those, so you can have left and right if you wished. Other things worth pointing out are the huge digger, which is taken directly from the original G1 toy. Excellent chrome here. It's really, really good colour scheme, and again, that's a little bit harder to hold because of the guard here. It doesn't, so the one I did doesn't really come with any instructions, so it's a bit difficult to know where to put it. It almost feels like it should sit on the back, and it probably does sit on the back. But where on the back is the question. This does actually rotate. Feels like it should fire, but there isn't any way of taking it out, but it does actually rotate, which is quite a nice thing. Unfortunately, the guard kind of gets in the way, so it doesn't really seem to hold it. But anyway, if you can figure out where to put it, that's a nice little addition as well. You kind of want to put it like that, but I'm sure that's not right. And the other 2 things I wanted to show you are these. Are they huge laser weapons, or are they firing mechanisms? I think they're probably giant cannons, because they fit, again, perfectly in here. I say perfectly in here. It's there we are. See the way it actually clamps onto the arm, so they are actually giant, truly giant lasers. And you know what? We'll just put the other one on as well. There we are. It's the same deal. It flips into goes into his hand and then clicks on there. You wouldn't really want to be on the receiving end of those. They are particularly nice add-ons, and it kind of just re-emphasises the fact that Ironhide is badass. You know, you would not want to be on the receiving end of those. They are pretty cool. So it's nice that he has such a big, diverse range of weapons that he's been given. Him and medical specialists as well. It didn't have to do that at all. Indeed, it's very few that would. I know the Masterpiece version of Ironhide does have quite a decent range of stuff as well. Probably as a direct response to this, because after all, Hasbro are not going to want to look second hand compared with a third party. So I think a lot of it is a direct response to this. I don't have the Masterpiece version, but just from what I can see on pictures and that, you kind of feel that the iGear version is actually the superior model. That said, I'm not quite sure what to do with that, so does it rotate out? No. Oh, actually it does. Still, it kind of rotates in that way, which doesn't necessarily help. Anyway, we won't dwell on that for too much longer because that'll get boring. Obviously, we've still got to do the height comparison. So what we've got here are Combiner Wars Hound. You know, it's not too bad. You would expect Ironhide to be a little bit taller than Hound, but they kind of go very well together. What he does go very well with is the G1 release of Shockwave. Now, Shockwave himself is a brilliant toy, particularly the G1 release is a brilliant toy, but the height is quite good as well. Shockwave was always a big Transformer, both in terms of the cartoon, toy, the whole lot of it. And Ironhide's not exactly short by any stretch of the imagination. Ironhide's one of the larger Transformers as well. Just as a final point of reference, you compare someone like the G1 release of Smokescreen. He's a big Transformer, but Shockwave really scales very well with Ironhide. he scales very well with Prime for that matter, but yeah, he's a big Transformer, and I say it's a nice scaling. I think effectively what you end up with this version of Ironhide, it could well be a masterpiece release. Obviously it's not, it's a third party, and technically it's called PPO5W Weapon Specialist, but it fits very well with the masterpiece range, and the amount of kibble or kit that you get also fits very, very well with the masterpiece range. Okay, so thank you very much for watching. That was iGear PPO5W Weapon Specialist. Please leave any comments below, click on the other links and subscribe for some more videos. I'll see you for the next episode. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.